Hey there, are you overthinking dating, especially first dates, and on into the second and third dates? Hi, it's Monday Mastery live at 5, and I'm dating coach Rick Soderbeer. And today we're going to talk about overthinking your dates. Are you overthinking? Are you stressing out about them? Are you expecting? An over the moon experience, or are you laid back and just kind of going with the flow? And based on a couple of the comments I've received on Facebook, there's that seems to be an interesting topic. A couple of you said that oh, I'm just losing my thought. That you just basically go with the flow, and you have some expectations, or the people that commented have some expectations of what a great date is. But what are your expectations? Hey, Geneva, thanks for joining in. Glad you're here. So overthinking can be a problem in so many areas of our lives. And I'm just going to try to adjust some lighting here real quick. Yeah, no, that didn't work. Anyway, so I'm in a new space, and I think it sounds a little. It's sounding a little echoey to me in here, but we'll see. We'll see how it sounds in the recording. Anyway, so I hope you all had a great weekend and a great week last week and a great weekend. For those of you that are Chiefs fans, it was a disappointing day yesterday, but they put on a good season, and so my hats off to the Chiefs for the season they did have. So and congrats to the Bengals, and I think it was the Rams. I didn't see the late game yesterday, so hopefully it's a great Super Bowl. Anyway, hope you all had a great week, and it's looks like at least in this part of the country, the week is starting off beautiful weather-wise. It was 70 degrees here, and then by midweek, by Thursday, we're going to have snow. So. Mother Nature's getting a little schizophrenic on us here. It's springtime weather today and winter weather later in the week. So anyway, hope you all are doing well, and let's go at this and see what your comments are and what your thoughts are, and roll from there. Now, my idea of overthinking dating is expecting. I guess expecting to have an over-the-moon experience. I've talked to a number of people that expect, especially ladies, expect a guy to plan this amazing first date that it just trips your trigger. And the question I have is that a fair expectation? And because he hasn't had a chance to really get to know you, what's important to you. Granted, you've probably had a few phone calls, and hopefully you're not spending a significant amount of time, months, messaging, texting, emailing, even on the phone. And hopefully you're getting to know each other in a reasonably quick period of time, and I'm talking within less than a month. You can drag out the conversations and the messaging, and it just, there comes a point in time where you really have to get together and meet. And because you don't know if there's chemistry. I've dated quite a bit over the years, and what I've come to find is that you can have great conversations, but when you meet, there can be no chemistry. I remember one date where we would have awesome conversations on the phone, and we got together, and it was dead air between us. There was nothing. So, if you're expecting magic to happen every time you have a date, then I can almost guarantee you're going to be disappointed. And are your expectations unreal based on today's society? And I was having this conversation with a lady friend today, and where, ladies, a lot of you are old-fashioned, and I don't fault you for that, but is that a realistic expectation today? I know a lot of women that would love to be dating, but they expect the man to basically pursue them, and which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have interest in a man, does he know you're interested? Does he know that you would enjoy going out with him? And we've had this conversation not too long ago where, it's a matter of you sharing your interest in him by saying something as simple as, I really enjoyed our conversation, or I've enjoyed meeting you. I'd love to do it again. And leaving it that, and leaving the door open for him, but sharing the thought that you would like to see him again. And that's not, I don't. Hopefully, those of you that want to consider or that do consider yourself old-fashioned. Is that are you open and amenable to a conversation like that? Or does he have to pursue you from start to finish without him having a clue of whether you're interested in him or not? It's so easy for us to plant our feet firmly on the ground and say, nope, I'm not going after him, or he's got to make all the moves. He's got to create this spectacular date. And if he doesn't, well, then it's his loss. Or is it? Maybe it's your loss from the standpoint that you may be missing a great guy because you've set up so many parameters for him, or so many hoops for him to jump through to get to see you, or to get to meet you, or get to know you, and vice versa. It's a fine line to walk. Where do you set the line? And oh man, I'm just having brain farts this afternoon. Hey Susan, thanks for joining in. Susan says, most can't hold the first phone conversation without blabbing about exes and financial turmoil. I'm out. And I agree with that, Susan. That's a great observation. Those are the kind of guys that haven't taken time to heal or recover from their last relationship, or from their divorce, or from being widowed. That's a perfect example of that. Those conversations should be over quickly. That's not an overthinking type of situation. And I applaud you for walking away from those, because those are the kind of guys. It's those kind of guys, and it's not just guys, ladies. I've met a lot of women. A lot of you have the same issue, or at least had the same issue when you first started dating. I've met a lot of women with a lot of anger over their ex for any number of reasons, whatever it is, and it's both sexes have those issues. But that's a great observation, is Susan. It's when you're the first widowed or first divorced, most of you are anxious to get out there and get into the world of dating, and I know I was there. I was, the ink was barely dry on on my divorce papers, and I was out dating. Actually, I was dating while I was separated. And was that a good thing? Yeah, no. It worked to my detriment more than anything. And there were a couple of great women that I dated while I was still separated, but I was nowhere near emotionally ready. It felt great to be out and exploring, but again, I was just nowhere near emotionally or mentally ready for the dating scene. And that's what Susan refers to as just talking about exes' financial problems. And and guys, for those of you guys out there that are listening, take time to recover. It's okay to, and don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying don't date. It's okay to date, but don't date with the intention of searching for another relationship. Date with the intention of getting to meet people. Date with the intention of, date casually. Go and have a decent time with somebody new. And if you find yourself talking about your ex more than just a couple of minutes, then you need to rethink your ability to hold a conversation. Susan says they're in their 50s and divorced for many years. Just need a course in speaking to a lady without fishing about sex too. Well, there's a lot to be said for that too, Susan. When guys are let me share this with everybody. Susan says, TMI, too much information. Yeah, and it's, oh God, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to dive down. Is the appropriateness of the conversations. And guys and ladies too. It's more along the lines of guys and guys. I'm not picking on you. I'm one. I've had that. I've gone down that rabbit hole with sexual conversations. While it can be titillating, it can be also a huge turnoff to the ladies. So you gotta think about what you're talking about. Relationships and dating is not all about sex. If that's all you're looking for in a relationship, then go buy a prostitute or go to the strip club or do that kind of stuff. But if you're really looking for a serious relationship, start focusing on what the lady wants. Start focusing on, and ladies, the same goes for you. And generally, you all are a little bit better about it. Focus on what the guy's interested in. If he starts talking about hunting and fishing, don't naturally just tune out. I mean, maybe that's what he's really passionate about, and it doesn't mean you have to be passionate about it. But if any subject goes too long or too deep that you're not interested in, then politely steer the conversation in a different direction. And it could be, when he pauses, when she takes a breath, just say, ask about a different aspect. What was your favorite vacation as a child? What was, get some other probing questions and help turn the conversation in a different direction. It's not all that difficult to do, although when you're in the heat of the moment, it can be like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. Now, I'll get to your comment. Oh man, you got a novel there, Geneva. There are times when you're in the middle of a date and there's no chemistry. There's not going to be a second date. Then the whole focus of your evening becomes, oh my gosh, how can I get out of here? But if you set it up as just coffee or cocktails for the first date, you eliminate so much of that. You never commit to a dinner, never commit to a movie. Never commit to anything that can be time consuming for your day, unless it's something you really enjoy doing. But I always encourage the first meeting to be just simple, just coffee or cocktails. If it's a good first date, if it's a good introductory or a good meet and greet, you can extend it. You can extend coffee into lunch or even into dinner. You can extend cocktails into dinner or a movie, or and just build from there. But if it's terrible, or even just you can just politely say, "Yeah, I've enjoyed meeting you. I don't feel a connection. I wish you all the best. Have a great evening." And it really is as simple as that. And Geneva says, I finally went on my first date since being single for 2 years. I felt so weird. My ex or his never got brought up. However, I was feeling so weird. Maybe it's just we connect so well through chats. However, when we met up, I just didn't feel anything. I couldn't get comfy with him, and for some weird reason. And that's Geneva. That's what I was talking about just a moment ago. I've been on those dates where the conversations are just awesome. The phone conversations or the texts or the emails are just awesome. But when you meet, there's just not that physical chemistry or that attraction that would draw you together. Although I tried our date was 4 hours long, which I think was another issue. Maybe just sitting there talking nonstop. I mean, let's go bowling or do something fun, not just sit and talk for hours. Well, and there you go. And maybe Geneva, that would have been a situation where, granted you weren't feeling a great connection to him. Maybe it would have been appropriate to say, would you like to go bowling, or would you like to go, depending on where you are. There's a couple places in Kansas City that have axe throwing. And that's I've taken a lady on a date there. It was fun. She actually did better than I did. Hey, we've got another Susan here. Susan says, hi from Drexel, North Carolina. Welcome. And Phil is here. How you doing, Phil? Glad to see you're here. And so anyway, and maybe axe throwing or bowling or whatever it is. But maybe you suggest that. Say, hey, would you like to, rather than just sit and talk all night, would you like to go and do something else? Hey, Nancy, thanks for joining in. Nancy's in Kentucky. Hey, Janine, thanks for joining in. Janine is from my hometown, or in my hometown of Ironwood, Michigan. Glad to see you're here. And so there's any number of ways of handling that. And now, Geneva, if you were bored and you knew there was going to be a no connection, you can at one point after an hour or so, you may have said, I'll just use Tom as an example. Tom, it's been great to meet you. I've enjoyed our conversation, but I'm just not feeling a connection in person. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not feeling the connection, and I wish you all the best. Or I think you could say something. I think it's time that we head out, and I wish you all the best. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be painful. It's just be frank, be polite, be adult about it, and move on. It is pretty simple. So and again, a lot of the things that bother us are come from overthinking. Hey, Luann, thanks for joining in. And Luann's from Staten Island. Thanks. Good to see you here. We got folks from all over the country. So, and again, overthinking can be as simple as does he like me? Is he going to ask me out again? Is he going to, does she like me? Will she go out with me again? Well, stop worrying about it and ask. If you're having a great time, then share it with him or her and say, hey, I'm just having an awesome time with you. Would you like to do this again? Would you like to go out again? Hey, Angela. And Angela says, I'm just going to put this up. Angela says she's an overthinker. And tell me some of the things that you overthink about, Angela, and we'll share it up, if you're up for sharing. Because I think it's a good example when somebody when somebody can share about the topic or their experience with the topic. So, how do you overthink? And what are the things that you overthink about? Are you overthinking whether he likes you, whether he is going to ask you out again? Are you overthinking your first date attire? Are you overthinking what a great first date should be? What might that be? And that goes for all of you. What? That's an interesting concept or an interesting thought. Angela says, I overthink if I want to date or stay single. What's to say that you can't do both, Angela? You get nervous about dating. Well, and I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. What makes you nervous about dating? I know see, who was it that said that? I'm just trying to scroll back through. Oh, and Geneva, I want to go back to you for a second. And when you said that you felt kind of weird, was it just because of him, or was it because it was the first date since you were married or divorced? I'm sorry, and you were nervous about getting back into the world of dating. What made you nervous about, or what made you feel weird about that? And let's see. Angela says whether or not they will like me, and vice versa. Well, and that, I think we all go through that. There was a time when I would love to have been loved by every woman that I talked to or that I dated. But there was a point in time when I came to the realization that I'm not everybody's cup of tea, nor is every woman my cup of tea. And when you come to those, hang on one second. When you come to those realizations, it becomes much easier. You'll tend to stop overthinking. When you don't worry about what somebody else is thinking about you, it makes it so much easier. If they like you, great. If not, okay. It's what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say, "Nah, I just didn't find a connection," and it was nice to meet you. I enjoyed our conversation, but I'm going to keep looking. So, now, Susan, this. Angela Gale, single, babysitting is overrated. Yeah, dating doesn't have to be babysitting, Susan. That's and I'll argue with you on that one. If you're looking at dating as babysitting, then maybe really seriously dating is not right for you, or at least not yet. And what I found is that when people And it doesn't make any difference whether you're man or woman. When you're having bad experiences, when you're finding a lot of drama in dating and relationships, you're dating in the wrong pool. You need to go find a different pool of people. If you've got a lot of drama in your life, you're in the wrong pool of friends. There's, especially if they're commiserating with you. Life is too short. Life can be as awesome or as miserable as you make it. So the idea is that find ways to have better experiences. And from a dating perspective, a lot of times it's just dating in a different place. If you're finding problems of dating online, well, go to your workplace, go to the grocery store. I've met more people in the grocery store. I've met more women in the grocery store just asking for questions. Hey, I'm trying to make this. Do you know what I need to, or I'm new in this grocery store. Have you ever, do you know where these items are? It becomes, a lot easier. And just, you have to be able to strike up a conversation anywhere in any way, or with anyone and any time. Geneva says, I think it was all the nerves of being the first time back out there. Yeah, there is a lot of that, Geneva. I've even had experiences of, in both personally and in coaching. The first couple of times you go out, you can feel guilty about almost. How do I want to phrase this? You can feel guilty about being out. It feels almost like you're cheating on your ex, even though you're not together. Or if you're widowed, that is even more prevalent there, that you feel like you're cheating on your late spouse. So there's a lot of there can be a lot of nerves there, especially the first time out. But it's like anything else. The more often you do it, the better you get at it. It's like exercising. The first few times you do it, you're sore, your muscles are tight, and it's like, oh, I can't do this. But as you do it for a while, after the first couple of weeks, you don't have the soreness. And you're able to each week you're able to do a little bit more, and a little bit more. It's no different than with dating. It's the more you do it, the easier it gets. The easier conversations come, and I'm trying to get caught. I'm looking at a lot of notes coming in here. Geneva says, I think I scare them off, to be honest. I think these guys are intimidated by me. Well, Geneva, if you're a strong woman, I guarantee you're going to scare a lot of guys away. And don't be intimidated by that. Don't let that distract you or dissuade you from dating. What you actually need to find is a guy that's comfortable with a strong woman. Guys, because guys, we get intimidated by strong women from the standpoint that we want to be the knight in shining armor. We want to be your hero. And oftentimes when we meet a strong woman, it becomes intimidating because we recognize that you don't need us. But that's where it comes on your shoulders to share that yeah, I want to be loved. I want help around the house. I want a man to help with the man stuff. And just because you can do it, Geneva, doesn't mean you have to. So, if he offers to do something, and you keep telling him, no, I'll do it, I'll take care of it. Stop it. Let him do things. Let him feel like he's contributing to your life. So, I mean, that's that's one thought. That's one aspect of it. Angela, yes, been single a few years. I've become a homebody, and that's Angela. That's so easy to do. we get comfortable. We get in our comfort zone. And that comfort zone often is just to, come home from work and have, make dinner and play with the dog or the cat, or just take a walk around the neighborhood, and you're done. But and this is where it takes effort, takes courage to step out, and it does take courage, especially the first few times. It's something that and I was there. Initially I was gung ho on dating, but then it comes to a point where you're single, you're divorced for a while, you get into routines, and dating kind of subsides a little bit, and pretty soon you're not going out at all anymore. And if you seriously want to be with someone, you have to be out. You have to make yourself you have to make yourself visible. You have to make yourself available. And I'm not saying sexually. I'm saying available so that the guys know that you're available to go out, that you're available to date. Let's get caught up here. Geneva says, yes, I kind of got that feeling, but I was hoping for the butterflies that never came. Well, that's, I've got mixed emotions about that. The butterflies are all part of the infatuation and raging hormones of a new relationship. And that needs to be a part of it. But when you have a true connection, I think a lot of those butterflies and the weak, or the tingling toes and the jittery knees, and those things go away relatively quickly, especially if it's a really good connection. It doesn't mean you're not excited to see your boyfriend or your girlfriend, whoever it is. It's just, and I'm talking to the guys, Geneva. It's we have to be careful about getting caught up in the Hollywood romance, or the oh gosh, who was it my ex used to read? Danielle Steele novels, these romantic novels, and all the butterflies and the excitement, and it's that's created by an author in somebody's imagination. And I'm not saying it can't happen, but there are so many different levels of connecting with people. And, again, the butterflies, that may be one of those overthinking things, where we overthink when we should be, yes, we'd all like the butterflies, but we also need to say, hey, is this a good guy? Am I developing an intellectual, a spiritual, an emotional, and a physical connection? Am I physically attracted to him? Does he meet everything on my must-have list, or does he have any of my deal breakers? All that's, the butterflies and the tingly toes, all that stuff will disappear eventually. Because that's all part of the infatuation and raging hormones. And I'm not talking about sex and jumping into bed. The raging hormones, there's lots of hormones raging through us when we get into a relationship. There's oxytocin, which is the love hormone, or what's been called the love hormone, but there's dopamine and serotonin and a couple of other things in there. And the dopamine affects our brain the same way that it affects alcoholics or drug users when they get their next fix. And so we can get wrapped up in looking for a certain feeling when it may just not be there. But don't overlook somebody just because you didn't immediately grab that or get that feeling. Geneva says, you're right. I felt guilty for some reason. So strange. No, it happens to all of us. So don't worry about it, Geneva. Just take your time getting back into the dating world. And as I recall from past comments, that you had a rough divorce, rough marriage. And getting out there can be, you can have walls built up that may make it a little more difficult for guys to get to know you. So be careful about the walls that you may have up. Look at what happened to build those walls. Why do you have those walls? And I'm not saying you do, but if you do, take a look at take a look at why you're feeling nervous. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, I'm not. And if you're feeling guilty, look at why you're feeling guilty. What is it that's bringing you to that point? Oh yeah, Janine, or like Hallmark. Yeah, there's 50 million Hallmark movies, and they all have these wonderful romantic stories. Boy meets girl, girl gets mad, boy loses girl, and something happens and they get back together and they live happily ever after. And Susan says, I think that when you just start dating, those nerves are with you for a while until you get used to dating again. Yeah, I agree, Susan. I think that the nerves are kind of like building your muscles when you're exercising. That would be the. This is a bad analogy, but it would be like the pain version of exercising. The nerves. You're nervous until for a certain point, and then you've built up that resilience. You've built up your nerve. You've built up your experience bank. You've expanded your comfort zone a little bit. That it makes that makes it easier. So I think that's a great observation, Susan. And Angela says, "Can men tell if you have walls up?" Sure. I've had to date. I've not had to. I've dated women that it's just something you sense. Sometimes it comes out in conversations that you're unwilling to talk about certain things, or you clam up on certain subjects, or it could be any number of things. Whatever walls you have up, it may be that you don't want to be physically touched. Even holding hands, or an arm around your shoulder, or just it could be those simple things. And if you keep avoiding, if you avoid certain topics, that may indicate that you have walls up. So yes, guys, and the better guys will sense more of the walls. The Neanderthals, they'll just not get it, and they'll either move on or they'll keep pushing until you push them away. Janine says, after 38 years getting a divorce, the dating game is scary. Things are different now than when I was younger. That's scary. Yeah, Janine, things have changed, but the premise of dating is still the same. There are some sociological things that have changed. There are some things that are more what's the word that are more readily accepted today, but there are still the foundation is still the same. The fundamentals are still there. How we meet is not necessarily the same because of online dating, texting, social media. It's easier for us to meet people, but it's also easier to hide behind this thing to keep ourselves safe. And when we do that, it becomes so much more difficult in really getting to know someone. I mean, when we're on social media and using one of these, it's so easy to pretend that we're somebody that we're not. And that's a big complaint that I get with from so many women, is that guys put up fake profiles or embellish, let's say, if not outright lie about who they are, what they do, their height, their weight. And I've had that a couple of times with ladies. They've embellished things, or they've downright lied about a number of things. And the minute I find out, and I don't understand why you'd want to do that to begin with, because the minute I found out, she was gone. I said, no, I'm just not going to deal with that. You've lied to me on several subjects. I can't trust you. You can't develop a relationship based on lies. But Janine, again, I don't want you to be scared about dating. Nervous, yes, but being afraid. If you want to talk about it, reach out and I'd be happy to dig a little deeper about what really scares you. Angela says, yes, you have to be careful. And and you do, especially ladies, you do have to be more careful, typically than guys. But, ladies, there are a lot of you out there, and I'm not saying who you all in the audience tonight, but there are a lot of ladies out there that are out to scam guys and make a quick buck off of them. So it does work both ways. And Susan says, I learned something from each date, mostly about myself. That's awesome, Susan. And hopefully what you're learning is what you like, what you don't like. Hopefully you're finding characteristics that you either want in your next relationship, or finding out characteristics or traits that saying, nope, when I see that, I'm out. So that's great. That's Janine and Angela. Look to Susan, because she's actually. It sounds like Susan is dating correctly. She's going out and learning about and learning from each date, and that's what's so important. It's so critically important to be able to learn what went right, what went wrong, what did I like, what didn't I like, and what characteristics will I look for next time somebody asks me out. And there's so much information that you can glean from a single date or a single meet and greet, but you have to be paying attention. And Susan, you're paying attention. And Nancy says, at 68, finding the one God has for me is my heart's desire. Knowing baggage from both will not hinder, but rather make for a stronger relationship. I know he's out there somewhere. Absolutely. And Nancy, one of the things that I preach about regularly is this is not a marathon. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And to find the right guy, you have to date a lot of people. It's not so many people get caught up on thinking that they can date 3 or 4 or 5 people and be done and find their soulmate. The odds are so far against that. You've got to date 20, 30, 40, 50 people before you find somebody that's suitable, that meets your needs. And I don't say that to scare you. That's a reality. And the more you date, and the more people in Nancy, in your case, the more you weed through, the closer you come to finding that extraordinary guy. And you have to remember, you're looking for that needle in a haystack relationship, and you can't expect to pull a few pieces of straw off and say, oh, there's my needle. In my experience, it just doesn't work that way. Let's see. And let's see. And oh no, I already got that one. And Janet, hey, thanks for joining in. Let me get caught up here. Hey, Janet just turned 60, and younger men, when they find out how old I am, they say, "You look younger." End of conversation. Well, that sucks. Normally, normally I have women telling me, yeah, I have these 30 and 40, 20 and 30 somethings hitting on me, and I'm old enough to be their mother. Janet, don't worry about that. If younger guys, it's flattering that younger guys are attracted to you, and and that's okay. But you have to understand that, and here's my general rule, and you can have a different rule, or I mean, you can have different age ranges. I know some people just say, it's just a number, but I've got an argument for that too. But I generally look at 5 to 7 years older or younger, and there's a reason for that. And my reason is that you have a common history. You have common. You grew up in a common era that that you can't have with somebody that's significant, especially with somebody that's significantly younger. You don't have the same time references. You don't generally share the same music interests. You generally have friends that are more your age, and they're going to have friends that are more their age. And when you start getting even 10, 15, 20 years difference, it becomes an issue. And it may be all fun and games up front, for the first few years, but let's just say that you got somebody that's 40 and he's interested in you, and you're 60. You just said you're 60. When you're 80, he's still going to be 60. You're slowing down significantly, and he's still going to have a lot of energy, and vice versa. If you're looking for somebody that's 80 years old, their energy level is going to be significantly different. And I've had experience with coaching, especially women that married older men. It was all great and neat and smooth and cool and fine in all respects in the first few years. But when he got older, it was like, this isn't what I signed up for. She wants to go out and he wants to stay home. She's got all the energy to go out dancing and enjoying life, and he's, I'm done. I'm tired. Maybe in bed by 6 o'clock, or not 6, 8 o'clock. And you're just getting ready to go. The other aspect of that, Janet, is if that's the end of the conversation, fine. Then you know that they're not the right one for you. Just be done with it and move on. And I know that's cold, and you can build up some connection, even over the phone. But and again, depending on how much younger, 5 years younger, yeah, that might sting a little bit. But if you're talking 10, 15 years younger, that's okay. Let them go. Just simply for the fact that what I just shared. It's not long term. It's going to create more problems than what you realize. And then you have to think about if the younger partner generally has to be willing to be a caregiver later on, because most of the time the older partner is going to start developing health issues, as we all do. There's nothing surprising about that. And sometimes it takes the other spouse to take care of you. And if and again, you're 70 and he's 50, that may not be a great combination. So there's The bottom line, Janet, if they find out how old you are, let it, and run. You just dodged a bullet, in my opinion. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Susan says, I'm 67 years old, and I finally feel like I'm holding the cards because I don't need a man. I'm enjoying myself, looking for that extraordinary relationship. Awesome. That's what it's all about, Susan. That's awesome. That's what I keep, and you have all the power. You're right. You do hold all the cards. I love that. It's, and that's what I hope that all of the position that all of you get to is that you realize that you're good with or without somebody. And I truly believe that life is better shared, but it's also can be hell on earth when you're with the wrong person. It's just so much. It's just such a pain when you're with and problematic when you're with the wrong person. So it's much better to be single and happy than to be married or in a relationship and miserable. So I applaud you, Susan. That's awesome. And let's see. Janine says, Janet, I'm in a relationship with someone that is a longtime friend. He's 12 years younger. And we click. And Janine, that can work. That can work. But again, if it's going to be just be cautious, because as you both get older, there's going to be some energy difference. There's going to be some interest difference, and just be cautious. And I say this as a friend. I consider you a dear friend, and because we've known each other for many, 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 many years. Susan says, when you're older, the age becomes important because of there you go, exactly, because of diminishing health. And let's see, Nancy says, please don't tell me that 30 and 40. I've dated one or two plus years and know that we aren't right for each other, but it's so difficult to break it off. I now know that my must-have list and deal breakers. Surely I can find my needle sooner than 30 to 40 different ones. It may be, but don't be surprised if it takes that many. I just want to be realistic, and I'm proud of you, Nancy, for knowing your must-haves and your deal breakers, and those are, and I want to make it clear, those aren't the end all and be all and end all to finding an extraordinary relationship. That's just the beginning, because you have to develop an intellectual connection, a spiritual connection, an intellectual connection, and of course a physical connection, and then I truly believe that to have the strongest relationship, you're going to speak similar love languages. So a lot of things have to come together all at one time to make it extraordinary. And sometimes, the emotional connection takes time. That's not going to happen overnight. But the more you spend time with each other and the more you get to know each other, it does build. It gets stronger. And Geneva says, heck, I'm 41 and I'm embarrassed to accept conversations from 35 and 38-year-olds. I understand that, Geneva. That's still, in my opinion, that's still 500. But my opinion is not what counts. It's what makes you feel comfortable, or what makes you feel uncomfortable. And so, you have to do you. Don't date based on what I say is comfortable for me. date and do the things that based on what is comfortable for you. If dating within just a couple of years of your age is where you're most comfortable, then so be it. That's okay. I just, in my advanced years, I'm turning 65 here in a couple of months, and in all of my dating life, I've always looked at, except out of high school and in college, it was always, I pretty much always looked at 5 years plus or minus. I've varied a little bit, and I've dated some that were 10 years older, 12 years older. But those obviously didn't go anywhere. Susan says, "Thank you for your book, your coaching, and your live lessons. I feel ready to take on the world. I seriously appreciate you." Oh, thank you so much, Susan, and thank you for buying the book. It's why don't we just end right there? I received a great comment today, or compliment, and Susan, including yours. I had a gal tell me how that she read my book and made comment. She made comment on my ad on Facebook that it was more than a guide for do's and don'ts in dating. It was about being mentally and emotionally prepared to date, and that's what all this is about. Is helping you be emotionally and mentally prepared to date. And Nancy, that kind of leads me back to a thought to you that we have to be prepared. And God willing, Nancy, you find somebody sooner than 30 or 40 dates. But you have to be prepared for that number. You're looking for that needle in a haystack. And sometimes that's what it takes. And if you're really serious, you're going to do what it takes to find that. Hey, Jill, thanks for joining in. We're hope you've been here for a while. Jill says, "Thanks, Rick. Nice to see you. Do I still walk?" No, I was just talking about that. I went to the Overland Park Boat Show and I ran into somebody that used to see me all the time. And I really haven't done any serious walking, and I'm really working on getting back into shape. Ankles and knees aren't quite letting me walk like I used to. For those of you that don't know, I used to be known as the waving guy around Lake of the Ozarks, and it was I would walk anywhere from 5 to 15 miles a day, about 35 or 45 miles a week. Depending on the week and the weather, and it was just a whole lot of fun, a lot of great experiences that I'll never forget. And Janice says, "What is the book?" The book is called "Dating Backward: A Practical Guide to Dating and Finding Your Soulmate," and you can order it on my website. Just go to ricksodabeer.com /resources. And it's available in paperback. Or if you want to get it from Amazon, it's available as a paperback, or it's available on their e-reader, their Kindle version. So that's another option. I don't have it in an audio book, and that book won't be in an audio version. But the next book, when I get to it, will have the audio version. Hey, Lori, thanks for joining in. Rick, you don't look like you're in your 60s. Yeah, thank you, Lori. I have parents that I inherited some great genes from my parents, and I have a little. Let me turn this way. I've got a little gray coming in, but my dad didn't turn gray until he was well into his 70s, and so thank you for that, Lori. I appreciate it. Susan says, I reread from time to time, always a help. Thank you. And that it is a great resource, and the way we wrote the book originally, it's a progression. You start at the beginning, and I've talked to people that have jumped around, but if you start right from the beginning, each chapter builds on what you learned in the previous chapter. And so it's a great guide. It's not a how-to or do's and don'ts about. It's more to the point. It's not about the do's and don'ts of dating. It's a great guide to help you sort through what's most important to you, help you deal with some of the emotional issues of whether you're divorced, whether you're widowed, or whether you've never been married, and how you end those relationships sometimes, and or how you end a relationship with a divorcee, with a widow, or somebody who's never been single, and then looking at the emotions. And communication is such a huge part of relationships, and learning how to communicate more effectively and understanding a little bit better what the opposite sex, or how the opposite sex communicates. And we reference other books within the book, and in addition to my book, we reference the 5 love languages. We reference men are from Mars, women are from Venus. There's a lot of great information there, and as I've in the past couple of years, that book has been updated even further, so it'd be an even better read. So anyway, for those of you that are interested, go to my website, ricksoderbeer.com, or you can even follow the links from my Facebook page. You can connect on, I think, Learn More, or I forget what the name of the button is, but just go on my page, and you'll find a connection to the order form. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the great comments. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Geneva. Geneva's headed to work. And so I hope to see you all next week. Have a great and blessed week and a fun weekend next weekend. And we'll see you next Monday for another Monday Mastery live at 5. Have a great week, everyone. I love you guys.